Good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin, let us all take time for a prayer. Father, praise you for this event and your purpose for it. We know that when we gather together, you always have a divine agenda. Our prayer today is that you will be done through this event. Take what we have prepared and multiply our efforts as only you can. Steer our intentions to align with your righteous will. Remind us of your faithful provision when our efforts fail us or fall short. May all glory up to you when we reach the finish line. Climb over benchmarks, blanket us with your peace today. Keep us physically safe and guard our hearts and minds from pride and selfishness. Keep love at the forefront of our minds today and guiding light for all we set out to accomplish and celebrate. In Jesus' name, amen. Once again, good afternoon, everyone, and we would like to welcome you to the info session of Workforce Planning Essentials. I am Jaya, your training coordinator and Zoom host for today's session. But before we begin, let me give you a short introduction of URIS and CIPD. Human Resource Innovations and Solutions Incorporated, or URIS, is a management consulting company that delivers value-driven innovative solutions to achieve organization effectiveness. URIS has provided working ideas, projects, and interventions that probe and analyze HR and OD implications of organizational issues and concerns. We offer services such as organizational development, management development solutions, and other business services to the private and government sectors. All these will contribute to the mission of URIS. Chartered Institute for Personnel and Development, or CIPD, is a UK-based global professional organization that has an active community of over 150,000 members worldwide. They are the only chartered institute in the world for human resource management professionals. CIPD sets the gold standard for HR and people development globally. CIPD and URIS advocate to deliver high-value management and development programs that will help organizations address business challenges, drive performance, and inspire action. Before we head to the main program, I will give you a short virtual learning house rules on the Zoom application. First, please ensure that your audio and video are working properly. You may explore the settings of the application to toggle. Second, listen attentively to the speaker when the session is ongoing. Use the chat box for recitation, questions, comments, and others. We will request everyone to mute their mic or audio for most of the session. Only unmute your mic when the facilitator or the speaker has given the portion to the participants to speak. This may be during the Q&A session or other opportunities deemed necessary for the participants to speak up. Lastly, please be reminded that this session will be recorded. Now, to give you a quick tour on the Zoom application, to unmute or mute your mic, just click the mic icon. You may do the same with the video. If you choose to hide your video, please make sure to put your full name so that we could recognize you. To know that you're unmute or mute, check the mic icon in the participants list and see if it is red or if it's moving. The host has the control of everyone's mic. meaning from time to time, the host will have to mute and unmute everyone. This is to control and minimize noise distractions during the session. If there is a need to raise a comment or question, you may either click on the raise hand icon, which can be located in the participants for the facilitator or the host to take notice, or post your comment or questions to the chat box. You may also private message me, the training coordinator, for other concerns. Lastly, we will send an email, a link of the feedback forms after this session. Any comments or suggestions are highly appreciated. Now, to welcome you all to the program, may we call on Ms. Maggie Munyoshi, one of the URIS consultants.
Okay, hello, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Maggie, and I'm a marketing consultant for Huris. But at this point, I would like to thank you on behalf of Huris Management at CIPD. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us this afternoon. We're in Manila. We're broadcasting from Manila and from Singapore. One of the wonders of digital communication these days. But anyway, just so that we can get to know each other a little more, we'd like you to answer a few questions. So Jaya, if you can shift that. All right. So how is everybody feeling today? You can, okay, I am going to press on view options. Above the screen, above your screen, you will see view options, and you can press on annotate. And so how are you feeling today? And I am going to go into, what is that? The stamp section, and I am going to put my stamp over there. So you see there's a heart, that's me. I feel great. So can you all do that, please? So put your stamp where you want, where you feel you are. Okay, I see several checks. Don't be afraid to put it in the where the faces are. Everybody's feeling great. Thank God, no one in despair. Anyone else? Okay. Oh, a lot of people are chatting in and saying they feel great. They feel good. Somebody says doing good, flowing like water. Wow. Okay. Feeling good. That's great. Okay. Let's move on to the next question. And this is going to be, all right, where are you now? Where are you coming from? And what I'd like you to do is, again, from the view options, now use text. Since the maps are so small, and I know that we have some people from out of the country, I would like you to type out where you are. Okay, so let me do that. And okay. So that's me. Ah, it disappeared. There you are. So there I am. I'm in Pasig. What about you guys? Where are you? Okay, we have somebody from Batangas. Okay, of course, CIPD is broadcasting from Singapore. Somebody from Quezon City. Who else? Anyone else? Oh, somebody's broadcasting is here with us from Vietnam. Wonderful. Okay, from Parañaque, Rizal, Makati. Wonderful. Okay, I have a lot of neighbors here. Okay, we have somebody from Vietnam as well. Okay, beautiful. Okay, let's go to the next question. Welcome everybody, welcome. Okay, which industry best describes your work? Are you in commercial, financial, etc.? And all you need to do is put in a stamp, your star, and let's just say we're here. Okay, so everybody, please put your star or your heart in whichever industry you're in. Somebody, Malin's from financial, okay. Somebody's with manufacturing, Chong. Am I pronouncing your Chong? Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Wonderful. Somebody's from the Department of Education. Beautiful. Okay. Any more? Manufacturing. Okay. We'd like to see your stars and your hearts. Where? On the screen so everybody will see. Okay. Cesar says education. Yep. Hmm? Healthcare. Whoa. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Do we have another question? Okay. What we'd like you to do now is use the chat box, and you've been typing onto that. What is the one question you would like to be answered today? So I'd like you to type in your question, and so that way we know that we're able to answer your questions later on. Please type in your questions on the chat box. Okay, I'm going to type in Okay. So we have a question. Why is workforce planning important today? Good question. Anyone else? How to do workforce planning in today's increasing unpredictable pandemic? Okay. Good question. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to go through those questions a little later. But for now, okay, how should we apply it during the pandemic? Especially in the healthcare system. Yes, I can imagine. Okay. But with that, keep your questions coming, guys, please, because I will be reading them. But for now, I'd like to bring in our consultant from CIPD. And okay, May Leng Kwok. She's the regional head for CIPD Asia. And she has 15 years of experience in the professional development and education sector. So like many of us, we're all educators. When she joined CIPD, she managed the professional membership team to counsel and benchmark people management and development practitioners into chartered membership. Okay. She also managed quality assurance, endorsements, and framework teams where she worked with universities and MNCs to accredit their learning programs. Okay, she is regularly invited to speak on topics such as trends in HR, the future of work, and organizational development across the APAC region, the Asia Pacific region. She's currently also a member of the Executive Council of the Singapore HR Institute. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Ms. May Leng Kwok. May, take it away.
Thanks, Maggie. Hi, everyone. How's everybody doing today? I can see from the chat that most of you are doing well, and I hope you've all had a good lunch. So today, let me just share my screen quickly, okay? Bear with me 1 second. Can everybody see the screen okay?
Yes.
Wonderful.
We're all right.
Wonderful. Right, so we're gonna try to keep things quite casual today. The plan is that we'll share a little bit about the workforce planning relevance to today's world. And I know a few of you have got questions around that, particularly around how do we do workforce planning during the pandemic? How do we apply it to certain sectors, etc.? Then we're going to talk a little bit about the program that the CIPD and Juris are providing to the Philippines market and wider, and how we actually deliver the program virtually. Because I know, even though it's become a norm at the moment, us working from home, us doing a lot of things through our computers, the learning experience is still something that not everybody has had an opportunity to undergo yet via virtual. So we're happy to talk a little bit about that method and mechanism as well. And then at the end, an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you may have. So we're going to try and keep this quite conversational between Maggie and I. And of course, at any point in time, do feel free to ask any questions into the chat box, okay?
Okay.
So first, I think this is probably a good place for us to start, isn't it, Maggie? Because we've had a few questions here around VUCA.
With what's going on around the world, everything, I think everybody's minds are focused on what's happening during the pandemic. So yeah, this is a perfect place to begin. Okay. Okay, May, I leave it to you. Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, I mean, as everyone said, right, there is so much uncertainty at the moment in today's world. Elections, trade wars, natural disasters. If you've been seeing what's happening with the wildfires, both in the US and in Australia, terrorism, to name a few. But nothing has hit us more globally in more than 100 years is COVID-19. So I was looking into the Philippines market before I took on this webinar. And I've got some statistics to share with you, which I'm just sure some of you will be aware of. So before the pandemic, the Philippines employment situation was extremely vibrant. In fact, you guys were looking at expanding at 4%, which would mean generating just over 1.5 million net employment, which is a lot. However, since the pandemic, you've reached record high unemployment rates. This particularly hit a peak back in April, where you saw just under 18% unemployment. So that's around 7.3 million people. Just to give you perspective, compared to 2019, so compared to the same period last year, you were only looking at 5.1. So that means more than 3 times the amount of unemployment has hit. So this, of course, absolutely 100% reflects the effects of COVID-19, the economic shutdown, how it's impacted all of our businesses, especially when it's an economy that has a good number of multinationals, but an even bigger number of your small, medium enterprises. Okay? So traditionally, these organizations being able to hold tightly on that bottom line is really important. It's less shock absorbent, I would say. And even with those who are employed, one of the unique things about the Philippines labor market is a high number of people are in what we call contract roles. They're in the no work, no pay policy role. So if there's work, you get paid. If there's no work, it doesn't matter even if you're employed and you have a contract, you still don't get paid. And for the Philippines, we're really looking at over 1/3 of the total employed workforce are in this situation. That's 13 million of you. So that's really a huge number. So it is quite a dire situation when you look at it from that perspective.
Right.
So it really challenges every business now, every business in the Philippines. No one is immune. You really have to relook at how you meet your top line targets whilst how you maintain and control your bottom line costs, right? So how you view COVID, how you get out of the situation right now is really within your reach and within your call. But none of us are immune.
May, just a question that comes to mind is that, you know, a lot of people these days are planning for, okay, today. We're looking at only today in this situation, maybe until December. Like in the news today, I saw a newspaper, one of the few I have actually seen in the last few months, is that it says, hopefully by December, we will have a normal Christmas, or we'll be coming to normal. But what is going to be normal after, if and when COVID ends like that? So, you know, do you see COVID?
Sure.
How deep the effect? How deep do you think the effect of COVID is going to be?
Maggie, every single time I hear this kind of thing, it reminds me of my dad. So as you can hear from my accent, I'm actually originally from the UK, even though I'm currently sitting in Singapore. But obviously, based on the way I look, I'm clearly from this side of the world. My dad at the moment is based in Hong Kong, and you know, he's an 80-plus-year-old man,
Yes.
and he's always saying to me every single time I speak to him on the phone, "Do you think we could go back to London next month? It'll be gone in 2 months, right? It'll be gone in 3 months, right?" He's been saying this since February.
Oh.
So my answer to him has always been, I really don't think, based on the current situation and the numbers that the UK and Europe are facing, that this is something that's going to go away anytime soon. So in answer to your question, I really don't think we're ever going to go back to what we all felt was business as usual. There will be pre-COVID days. So what we consider as pre-COVID days, that's never, ever going to be business as usual again. Because things are changing too fast. So my advice to businesses, see COVID as a catalyst for change. This is absolutely your opportunity now to press that reset button. There's absolutely no good will come out of trying to go against this here, because you can't stop it. The whole world can't stop it. Entire developed countries and markets can't stop it. So that means, in order for us to survive, we have to accept that how we used to do work, the way that we used to do work, and even the work itself has to change. That means as a business, we must be flexible and we must be adaptable. And we 100% need to find new ways of working.
I think for a lot of us, May, we've seen VUCA, the terms VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Never have these 4 words actually come together at a better time than now. We're really experiencing things in capital letters.
Absolutely. Well, people say never waste a good crisis, right? And I think this is absolutely, well, it's true. And this is absolutely the situation that we're in. So I'll give you a previous example. If we think back to, you know, not too long ago when the World Trade Centers were hit because of terrorism.
Anniversary is today.
Exactly. And if you think about it, the world never went back then either. We've never reverted back to those days. So if you think, even when we travel, we can only reminisce now since we all can't travel. But even when we could, we can't carry over 100 ml onto a plane. Everything has to be in transparent packages. If we think from an employment perspective, whenever we need to transfer our employees from one country to another, depending on the countries, the visa situation, all of the immigration stuff is now tighter, all because of that one incident. So even for something that really technically only happened on one land, one soil, had an impact around the world. It had a ripple effect. So when we look at COVID, when we look at this pandemic, no country in the world is really immune, right? No, we're all in it. So when you think of it that, so just think of the size of that ripple effect now. We're really all in it together. So to me, I would encourage businesses, you really need to think outside the box right now. So if I move on to my next slide, this is where I think workforce planning really can help you. Because as we've said, you need to think outside the box. You need to think, how do I create a safe working environment for my employees, right? Otherwise, they may not want to come back to work. How do I use effective flexible working practices? How do I plan my split teams effectively? How do I manage workers remotely? How do I motivate and keep up productivity remotely? All these are very real issues that businesses are facing. So we do need to invest somewhat, because as you can imagine, the way that we are set up in our businesses at the moment, the way that we've resourced, and I use resource more widely, it's not just human resource, it's all resources, whether it's physical equipment, hardware, software, physical premises, I mean all of it. Yes. So we need to invest in equipment. So on a very simplistic term, if I want workers to work from home, do they have computers? Can they access systems? Can they access files? I need to upskill some staff. Is everybody computer literate?
I think here in the Philippines, the issue would also be, do we even have a signal that's clear enough for us to be able to communicate the way we're doing it now?
Exactly. So some countries have had to be very creative in terms of how they fill some of these gaps that they have. But however you look at it, you can't fulfill any of this stuff if you don't plan.
Yes.
You absolutely cannot. If you're not going to do a stock check of the current situation that you are in, which is that first lowest peak, it's that resource planning peak. So here we're really looking at Horizon 1, looking sort of in that short-term view, okay? So how do I deploy my employees? How do I fill the gaps caused by sort of this current, not so natural evolution of the world of work? And how do I plan my headcount projections for, frankly, a fairly unknown situation? So most businesses right now can only plan 3 to 4 months ahead because they know there's no point planning any more than that. And some are trying to be positive and sort of saying, okay, should we go back to this pre-COVID world, which to be fair is never going to be exactly the same? What can we do? And in the meantime, what can we do? So you almost need two parallel plans going. One for at any moment now, we're going to go back into severe lockdown, to any moment now, the economy is going to reopen again. And then something in between. So that's where scenario planning comes into place.
Yes, yes.
And that takes us to peak number 2. So peak number 2, we're looking at operational workforce planning. So this is where we, to some extent, believe that we can plan a little bit further ahead. So some of your huge organizations, so we think off the top of my head, somewhere like the airline industry. So if you think airlines, hotels, these have been massively hit, right?
Badly affected, yes.
Badly. And I think in Singapore Airlines just announced a mass, like 4-figure layoffs, massive layoffs. So with that in mind, these companies, since probably the last few months, they've constantly had to do scenario planning for what happens in the next 3 to 6 months, what happens in the next 6 to 9 months. Right. And they have to come up with what is our best case scenario, our most likely scenario, and what's our worst case scenario. And don't be surprised if when you do your scenario planning, the first time you hit the period, that you find you've actually hit below your worst case scenario, because that's happening to a lot of organizations right now.
Right.
So that will be your peak number 2, where you can do some planning. And then Horizon 3, quite frankly, most of us don't have the liberty to be able to do a 3 to 5 year plan right now. All we can do is hope that our organization objectives allow us to be flexible enough so that we can actually align our resources to it.
So I think the key word that I pick up from you is flexibility. You plan to be flexible in an unpredictable time, and the fact that you have, let's say, 2-3 plans going on at the same time, it's actually, what is it? It's mitigation, it's crisis.
It's crisis management.
Crisis management. So workforce planning here comes as part of crisis planning as well.
It is, absolutely. So if you think about
crisis management, right?
If you think about it, we do this most of our lives. So when you think about, what do I do when I'm job hunting? Okay, so you think about all the different organizations that you're going to apply for. How do you prepare for those? What if I get the job here? What if I get the job here? What will my decision then be? When you're applying to go to university, you have your first choice, your second tier choices, your third tier choices. You've actually been doing this in your own personal life, all your life. So why wouldn't you do that in the business world? Because typically, for any business, right, typically 60 to 80% of a company's budget is actually its employees, which is a huge percentage, right, on the P&L. So when you're planning for an uncertain world that we live in right now, it should absolutely be your top priority in terms of how you utilize one of your biggest cost lines. But when you've actually done it effectively, workforce planning drives the execution of your business strategy, and it helps you, most importantly, to mitigate risk so that you can create operational efficiencies and this is a priority for all businesses right now. How do I control that bottom line?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Does this is the three peaks, May? Is this a progression, or does it happen all at the same time? Do you have to do all three of them? What do you think?
I think that's a
I
really,
know
really good question. Really, really good question. So I think to some extent, when organizations are looking at their workforce planning, some of it does go hand in hand, because first and foremost, you need to look at your current state and your current situation. So the current resource planning lower state. So you need to get your ducks in a row. You need to know exactly what you have so that you can account for it. And that also includes what knowledge, what skills, what abilities do I have in the organization? So it's not just about how many people do I have? Are they full-time? Are they part-time? Are they contractual? So you need to dig that a little bit deeper. On the operational level, you've really got to start looking at the way that you are working. What processes do you have in place? Are you creating efficiencies in your process line, especially if you're in a manufacturing business, a supply chain business? So because in most cases, we're so used to doing things the way we've always done it, we don't have an opportunity to take a step back and pause and reassess to say, is that the right way or the best way that we could be doing this? So that's where your operational efficiency kicks in. And the strategic bit, once you've got the first two lower peaks there, the strategic bit is when you can start looking at how aligned are we to our direction, all right? Well, how can we shift that change? And that's where you really want to start looking at your operating models.
All right. Okay. Very good. You know, wow, it's mind-blowing. I can imagine what it's like. I mean, you know, we've all been engaged in some kind of workforce planning at somehow, but today, these days, it's mind-blowing, because it's not just going to engage people per se, but it's, like you said, how people do their work. So you're thinking about space, because now they say you have to be 1 or 2 meters away from each other. So you can't work in groups anymore. Gone are the days when they had these, what do you call them? The tables where there are people face to face working. So even that will have to be considered. Space, air conditioning, etc. You know, where they eat.
Yes. I mean, how you have your recreational zones. And traditionally, these are the things that we use as engagements intervention. So then so now we need to redefine what we mean by engagement in the workplace. I also highly suspect that, so anybody that's going to be born now, right, they're not going to know what life was like before we had COVID.
Absolutely, yes.
So
it's going to be like our parents telling us about World War II.
Exactly, right. For most of us, we've never been to war. But these guys who are going to be born now, COVID will be something that's part of their life. All this social distancing stuff that's going to be carrying over, sanitizing, how we clean, etc. That's going to be part and parcel of them growing up. So we may be seeing a generation of future workforce that's going to be less tactile than people currently are now. So again, the dimension you've got there in terms of how does that translate to how people engage in the world of work is going to be there too.
Very interesting.
So I've got a good response for you. So on the bright side, lots of opportunity here for businesses. And when you said, yes, it's a lot to chew on, what do we do? Well, obviously the answer is, you got to take this wonderful course. So see how I segued in there? That was a nice touch, wasn't it? So
I like that.
You like that? I'm glad you do. So
the segue was great.
Yeah. So this is, so ladies and gentlemen, this is a fantastic course that the CIPD is putting out there with Huris, our one and only partner in the Philippines. This program is available in many markets, but the unique thing about doing it with Huris obviously is an element of contextualization to the region and to the market. So this program itself, we're going to take you on a journey, and it's going to be quite systematic, because workforce planning is a process. So for those of you who like processes, who likes to have a step-by-step guide, who likes to be handheld, from one element to another and have an opportunity to try some of those tools, to try some of those concepts in a safe environment with our trainer, then this is the program for you. So we're going to take you through what exactly is the basics of workforce planning, so that we've got those definitions right, so that you're clear what it can and can't achieve, because that's just as important, just in case you've got any myths that workforce planning is going to solve everything for you. It may not. Then we're going to look at what are the drivers that drive your workforce planning needs. So whether it's restructuring, whether it's technology, whether it's COVID, which of course for most of us it is, whether it's downsizing, whether it's right sizing. So all of these things will determine what strategy you actually take. Then we're going to give you some tools on how to analyze your current workforce situation, so that you can identify where are your surpluses, where are your shortages, and where are your mismatches. And then from there, we're going to take you through scenario planning, so that you have an opportunity to do some of the things that Maggie and I have spoken about today so far, to really look at, okay, where do we want to go in the next 3 months? Where do we want to go in the next 6 months? Where do we want to go in the next year? What does our model need to look like in order for us to achieve that? How do I build that flexibility in? How do I build that adaptability into my workforce planning structure? So we'll be able to work with you on doing that as well. And of course, most importantly right now, this element about contingency and adaptiveness.
Yes.
So we have to have contingency plans, because we really don't have a crystal ball. So I know I've been talking for some time, but just in case, if you've got any questions about the program, this is probably a good opportunity to ask it whilst it's up on the screen.
Right. I think one of the things that we can do, there are some people who have, okay, May, these are questions that were phoned in. My goodness, me and my radio that were typed in earlier. Okay. We've actually answered, how does workforce planning in today's increasingly unpredictable world work? Well, that's why you have to attend the course. That's one thing. I think the beauty of this course, May, is that we begin to, it's like it's arms. We become armed for looking at the future. We may not have a crystal ball, but we may learn to look ahead and know what to expect, or to map out, okay, plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, if doesn't work, So there we can actually chart different paths for our organizations. Yes. With a workforce planning program.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
I like this. There's somebody's from the healthcare industry, and they're asking, how does it apply, especially during the pandemic? My goodness. Wow. Workforce planning is perfect for this time. I think simply because, we don't know what's going to happen. You have 100+ doctors and 300 nurses. And if so many patients start coming in, and that's not even counting COVID patients.
Yep.
Right? Yep. So how do you handle that? And I think, what do you say, May? The course?
I would say you definitely need workforce planning because this is, where a lot of businesses are struggling. I would definitely say healthcare is not struggling right now, because I think you have a lot on your plate to deal with. And if I can use Singapore as an example, so the Ministry of Health in Singapore, and we have 3 huge hospital groups here. And I have to say, healthcare workers around the world are really doing a fantastic job and have really stepped up during this period. They really are, the heroes at the moment. Things that they do put in place is really that element of structure. So first and foremost, it's really about the safety. How do I safeguard my employees? Because you are in a high risk environment. And just purely from a business perspective, you want healthy workers because you need a productive workforce. So if you don't have those checks and balances in place, you may find yourself having even less workers than you planned for. Also be creative in terms of how you can bring in additional workers. So I know one of the challenges that the healthcare have at the moment is,
Availability.
yeah, not enough arms and legs, really. So if I give an example, in Singapore, what they've actually done, because obviously, you know, the airline industry is grounded at the moment. So you think Singapore Airlines, and Singapore Airlines is one of the largest employers in Singapore. Now, if you think about the air stewardess and air stewardesses training, they are very good at customer service, and they have fantastic bedside manner in that sense, right?
Right.
So what they were able to do was actually transfer some of the flight crew who have no work at the moment, right? And basically second them into the hospitals. Now, obviously, anything that requires real medical attention, they can't do. But these guys all have basic first aid because they have to, because of their jobs, right?
At least basic triage.
That's right. So with a little bit of upskilling and training, they were able to get quite a few hundred, almost 1,000 in from Singapore Airlines to be deployed into the hospitals around Singapore to do some basic bedside healthcare stuff, so that the nurses and doctors could be deployed in the more high value areas.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a fantastic example of where you've got this sort of, you know, cross industry collaboration. When you
Right.
really think outside the box, possibilities can happen.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. Okay, does anyone have any more questions? I'm not seeing any more questions. You know what? If you want to ask a question, you can also unmute yourself. Raise your hand and unmute yourself. We'd like to hear your voices. Anyone? Okay, let's see. I'm going down the line. And is there anyone who would like to ask a question?
Maggie,
Yes.
this is Dr. Kalibo. Thank you, May, and thank you, Maggie, for this
Hello.
wonderful inputs. Just want to know, are there prerequisite skills necessary in the management or in the HR section that should be built first before we proceed with this workforce planning proper? Just to assess how ready is the management and the organization to conduct such. Thank you.
Sure. I would say there is no absolute prerequisite. But what I would say, if you really want to make the most of this program, have a think about your current workforce planning needs within your organization. Think of specific issues, specific problems that you want to solve. So for example, is it about how do I manage split teams? Is it about I've got these knowledge and skills and gaps that I don't know how I'm going to fulfill them? Is it, okay, we know that we need to change as a business, but we don't know how to bring the management on board. We don't know how to communicate this message. So whatever the problem is, come with it to the class with a clear view, because then when you're going through the program, you can relate it back to these issues and you can ask the trainer. You have opportunity there where you've got almost a free consultant in the room with you. So whilst you're learning the good theories and having a go at the concepts, you have an opportunity now to really be able to go back to your work with a very viable solution.
I think what's also a very good opportunity is that being in the class with different people from different industries, and then you're going to have a lecturer who's actually an expert at workforce planning. You already have guidance, and like May said, you have somebody, you get, you know, hand holding through the process as well. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity.
It absolutely is, and you make a great point, because right now, no one person, no one country, no one organization has all the answers. So when we really want to think outside the box, and you've got and I think especially like we have on the webinar now, you've got people from the Philippines, from Singapore, from Vietnam, from other countries, you know, you really get to have different perspectives so we can generate different ideas so that we can all learn together.
Exactly, yes. Any other questions?
Maggie?
Okay, I see Cesar. Hi, Cesar.
Hi, Maggie. Hi, May.
Hello.
Yeah, I see that the process for the workshop seems to be a very good one.
I hope so.
You'll talk of how to approach workforce planning, and I think the process is very applicable in stable environments as well as the so-called unpredictable
VUCA world.
environment that we have
In
now.
the VUCA world, yes.
But then I would hope that in the workshop somehow the topic of competencies can be discussed.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
competencies that will be required, no? In order to perhaps really address the uncertainty.
Right.
For instance, three competencies come to mind. One is adaptability. The other is ability to learn. I mean, you have to learn with this
Yes.
uncertainty, and
Mm-hmm.
perhaps tenacity and persistence. So examples like that. I
Yes.
would.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you'll be happy to know that we do talk about this. So when we're analyzing the current workforce situation, we will also look at the current the knowledge, the skills, and the behaviors. And you called out some great ones there. So as part of that also, it's that whole mindset shift thing. It's especially when you're in certain industries where it's a very set mindset. How do I get people to come on board with these new ways of working and these new changes, and for them to not feel threatened by it, especially when a lot of people right now feel very insecure, very unstable. Any element of change can actually set them off and become an even bigger barrier to change. So these things will be addressed in the workshop as well. Absolutely, great question.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Cesar. Any other questions? Anyone? I think I hear somebody talking. Anyone? Hello? Is anyone still there?
Right, in that case, I'm going to move a little bit on the slides there.
Yes. Okay.
So these are the wonderful learning outcomes that we're hoping, well, not hoping, we know you're going to come out of the program with, because we're going to test you on these during the program. There's going to be lots of opportunities for you to be able to apply these through activities, through case study scenarios, through your own situations, so that you'll have an opportunity to do that theory to practice conversion. My favorite one on there is scenario planning, I have to say. I actually love, because I love OD, so I love scenario planning. I'm one of these people that likes to be prepared where possible. And the other one that I think is absolutely crucial, because of, doing the planning, learning the steps is one thing, but how do I manage my stakeholders? How do I bring people on board on this journey? I think is the other really important skill here.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that some of you may have questions around the actual format, because obviously this is a virtual program. So the program has been designed in such a way, so it is 100% completely online, okay? So online learning nowadays is very different to online learning back in the days. It's not a one-way thing. It's an absolutely two-way thing. So as you saw with Maggie earlier, there's lots of tools that you have at your fingertips now to be able to engage with each other and to be able to engage with the trainer, and for the trainer to do the same back to you. So we do use a variety of learning methods. So it includes the instructor-led piece in class, which will include things like case studies, group work through breakout rooms and sessions. You'll have all sorts of concepts and matrices and case studies and things to work on. But what we're going to do also is give you some pre-session work, but also in between session work, so that you've got your own individual time to reflect as well, because that's really important for you to sort of take that moment to reflect and to think, what does this mean for me, and what does this mean for my organization? We'll also be spacing out the sessions a little bit. So we ideally, you're going to have the opportunity to do some group work and to do some self-directed learning stuff in those in-between sessions as well. Okay. And then of course, we'll utilize the main session for you to have a go at stuff, because hopefully you would have done the pre-reading, so that you can have a go at it during the classroom. and get an opportunity to ask questions where it didn't quite work or didn't quite fit for you. So that's how we've actually designed the format. We've also done some research, and we know that if we try to keep you online for any more than 4 hours, we're going to lose your attention. So each of the virtual sessions is only 4 hours long. So you've got plenty of time to sort of get on with the rest of your day. So if anybody is worried about the technology, don't worry, because at the very start of the program, we will do a platform induction with you. So we will be showing you the different tools, the different mechanisms, how to access it, etc., so that you will feel familiar very quickly. Yeah. Any worries or concerns on the technology right now? I'm sure you're all fine.
You know what? I think, yeah, I think the fact that they're here,
absolutely,
the issues are minimal.
I think so. I think so. So I think it's quite safe. So this is the last thing, I guess, you know, because I know it's 4 o'clock and you know, we're reaching the hour that I have with you. So obviously, being British, this man got us out of war. And I do absolutely 100% agree with what he says here. Let our advanced worrying become advanced thinking and planning. And I think this really speaks to workforce planning, because the spread of COVID-19 is absolutely an exceptional circumstance for all of us, and it will have ongoing ramifications for organizations, individuals, and society at every level. And I 100% believe that HR right now are at the forefront. And as the situation continues to develop and change, us as HR practitioners, we will need to step up. We will need to act quickly. We will need to be resilient. We need to be agile. We need to be flexible in our working practices, because things are changing too fast for us to write any rules, any steps to be able to follow it to a T. Mm-hmm. We need to be able to support the organizations and the employees so that we all stay engaged, motivated, and productive. Because let's face it, when most of us are working at home, a lot these days, it's quite easy to forget that we're part of a team. And it's quite easy without that human touch to stay motivated and on top of things. It's just natural human behavior. So how do we focus the workforce to deal with the aftermath, and how do we continue to exist in this COVID era? It's really all down to us. So absolutely 100% workforce planning, we all need it.
Okay. Okay, May, thank you. Is that, yeah, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to stay. All right, wonderful. Here is a QR code that is going to lead you into a registration and payment gateway, and the rates are there. Our program dates are September 24 and 25, and then the standard course rate is $438 for those of you who are out of the who are not in the Philippines, and 21,000 pesos in the Philippines. This is an investment in yourselves, you know, in your futures. The nice thing is, for those of you who are here today, if you pay on or before, actually September 15th, 1-5, September 15th, you are going to get a 5% discount. So don't wait. You can register now and you pay your enrollment and you get that 5% discount. So it all goes down to $416 or $19,950. So get that QR code now. Okay, so with that, I would like to thank you. Let me see if there is anything else. Okay, are we going to share the CIPD slides?
Happy to.
On
no
PDF?
Problem.
Okay, we will do that. Yes, sir, we will. Okay. You can contact us. Go to our website. That's www.juris.com.ph, and that is how you can get in touch with us. And this QR code will lead you to the registration form. Okay, Jaya, do we have anything else to share? Sorry, you know, we're this is like a TV production or radio production room where we're working from in different rooms. This is actually in favor of in practice for COVID safety as well. Okay, Jaya,
Yes, Miss Maggie.
hello.
Hello.
Yes, yes, dear.
Yeah. To end the session, to those of you who want to or have any questions and concerns, you can contact us at you can visit our website www.uris.com.ph, or you can email us at onlinelearning@uris.com.ph. So, Miss Maggie, there is a question in the
Yes.
chat box.
All right. Let me just see. Okay. You know, this program has been run, according to me, even before COVID times. So it is a basic, it's a skill. It's a very special skill in HR. It's a very special competency. It is important. It was important before COVID times, but it's even more important today.
Yes.
And moving forward, you absolutely need this,
Yes.
where
In
we
fact,
don't know what the world's going to look like. Go ahead,
yeah,
Meg.
in fact, we are running this program now 4 times more during COVID time than pre-COVID. Because we also run this in partnership with
Wow.
RRB in Australia. And, you know, that's currently been run 3 times a month in just Australia alone. So it's definitely in demand right now. Everybody recognizes it's a skill you need.
Okay, that's good to know. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a wonderful opportunity for you now. It's, you know, not many people will have a CIPD coming to us, being with us, chartered institute. So do take advantage of that. These are very, very preferential. It's a good time to take this. Okay, so do we have any other questions? Any other comments? Okay. Is there anything else?
I have a question.
Yes.
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 If I wanted to watch a replay of this event, where could I see it?
All right. We are going to be posting this on YouTube, and we will let you know through both our LinkedIn. We are going to post it on LinkedIn and on Facebook, on social media. But we're going to put this on YouTube. So stand by, and we are going to send you the link to that replay through an email. Am I right, Jaya? That's what we're going to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's
Thank
a question
you.
that's come in from someone about whether or not the course is recognized by the Philippines Civil Service Commission.
Aha. No, it's not yet. But you do get a certificate from CIPD. Mm-hmm. There you go. Jaya, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
The certificate
Yes.
is from CIPD.
Mm-hmm. Is it going to be recognized by the Civil Service Commission? I should hope so. Is it registered under the Civil Service Commission? No, it's not. However, this is a valuable course. Any other questions? Okay. For
I
those
have
of you
another
who don't,
question.
yes, yes,
For
JC.
participants who attend this course, did they get an international certificate from CIPD and URIS?
Okay. May is nodding. Yes. Yes, you do.
And some really good life skills.
Actually, yes. It's not just a surf. It's something that it's like cooking for me. You know, this course is like it's like learning to cook. Okay.
Maggie,
Yes.
Maggie, can I
Yes.
come in?
Of course. Please join us.
Yeah. there was a question whether the program is recognized by the civil service. Actually, we are in partnership with the Career Executive Service Board. And
Yes.
what we used to do is to have face-to-face training. And we're now
Right.
in, you know, consultation
Virtual
with
learning.
them on how we are going to have the same accreditation for virtual learning. And since this is a new program that we are introducing and is very relevant, we will include this as part of the programs that we would like the Career Executive Service Board of the government to be recognized
Yes.
as well as the other 13 programs that we have.
Mhm. Mon, does this mean that if they take this now, it might be retroactive? The recognition may be retroactive. It's
Uh,
possible.
we'll work it out with them if that is something that is possible because what I know with the Career Executive Service Board, within 1 year, let's say within a calendar year, you have to
Yes.
take X number of hours for learning and development so that
Right.
it could serve as part of your profile of employment. And they will use that as a point of reference for future promotions. So what we can do, if we can work it out as soon as possible, and we can get the approval before the end of the year, then it will be credited. And if
Okay.
it will not be credited, we'll try to see whether they could give that accreditation within a certain period of time. But of course,
Mm,
this is something that we'll have to work it out with them.
right. Right. But I guess nevertheless, you are working with an international, the only charter institute in the world. So that alone is great value already. That certificate to me is of great value. So it's still a big advantage, Dr. Kalibo.
Not only that, Maggie, the most
Yes,
important, of course, is the acquisition
you
of the
learn.
knowledge and skills so that
Exactly.
you can apply
Exactly.
it in your workplace, in your agency in government, and you can give them new insights as to how to go about
Yes,
addressing this volatile, complex, uncertain times because of the pandemic.
very true. Very true. Very true. Yes. Okay. So, are there any more questions? I don't see anything else coming up. Uh, okay. It's now, it's 4:15 or 4:16. Yeah. And so with that, don't forget to sign up, get that QR code, or go to our website. You
Look us
can
up on social media.
also,
Don't forget to like us on social media.
yes, yes, like us on social media. That's we are on Facebook and LinkedIn. Follow us, and then what else? We are going to send you copies of May's slides. Okay, but do sign up before the 15th of September, and so that you can enjoy that 5% discount. That's a big one. That's a big discount. Okay. All right. With that, we thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for spending your hour with us. And we hope to see you at the program. Okay. Bye. Bye now.
Bye,
Bye, May.
everyone.
Thank you, May. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank you
Jaya.
very much, May.
Thank you for having me. Take care,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, May.